But this is where the XR is really designed to excel. Proper fun, techie, single track. My name's Guy Kesteven, been a professional bike tester for over 25 years. And today I'm on the stunning gravel trails in the mountains behind Alicante, having an easier time than I normally would because I'm testing Mondraker's radical mountain bike bred Dusty XR gravel bike. You know, Mondraker up to this point have always been a purely mountain bike brand. Their first product was a downhill bike. You know, that's where they've had, until recently, with Beck McConnell winning World Cup XC, that's where they've had most of their success, is in gravity racing. So it's a big deal them bringing out a gravel bike. But, you know, they've really made sure they've kind of stuck to that dirt and dust ethos with this bike, and the frame is very much a Mondraker in the way it looks, that super flat top tube swelling at either end of the little cheekbones for extra stiffness on the head tube. You know, it really follows that Spanish design heritage, and most importantly, really rides like a Mondraker. And the heart of the system is the Mahler X20 hub motor, which is the latest, lightest hub from Mahler Power Systems. So it's got 55 Newton meters of torque in a 1.4 kilo smaller diameter hub. So that's 400 grams, 500 grams lighter than the X35. It's also a smaller body, so you get a longer spoke and a straight pull as well. So you've got a more responsive hub in a smoother wheel. And then in the down tube, you've got 350 watt hour slimline battery. And the other great thing is that you're getting a conventional SRAM crank, in this case a Force carbon crank, so not only is it light, it's properly stiff, so you're not losing any pedaling efficiency from a structural point of view. And they've taken a lot of the lessons learned from their podium hardtail into the design of this frame, and that's the lightest cross-country hardtail in the world, is the podium. So you've got a really lightweight 1280 gram carbon frame with a 3.6 kilo motor system in it. And so even when you're heading up into the snow line on the mountains here, still an impressively lightweight package for a powered off-road capable bike. And while this XR version with the fork and the dropper post on it, it's 14.2 kilos for this large. The R is 13.59, and then the RR is 13.3. So that's really light for a powered bike. So the angles aren't crazy rad on this Dusty. You've got 70-degree head angle, 75 seat, but reaches are relatively long. I mean, compared to the Merida Silex, which is a bike I've ridden before, you're getting a 20mm longer reach, and the stems are short as well, so they're proportionate to bike size. But on this medium, you're looking at 70. And talking to Luis, who's leading us down this sweet bit of single track, they experimented a lot with rear end length, so they tried longer and it was more stable, but they found once you get the motor in there, it really affects that extra weight, really affects the balance of the bike. So they've kept it as tucked in as possible. So it's only 425 mil. I mean, that does mean compromise in terms of tyre size. It's 47 mil tops, but when you're just dropping into cute little speeds and flicking it round, feels awesome. And this bike just got that way more than just the numbers feel that I think I've brought out on every Mondraker video. So it's e-bikes, you know, the Rays trail bike, they just have that special secret handling source to these bikes, and it's great that they've translated that into gravel bikes and e-gravel bikes at that. I have to say, this Marla motor is great. Whilst on demand power, really giving you the power when you need it, and plenty of it. Now, I wouldn't like any more than this, because I've only got a 45mm Rambler on the back, and that's already kicking around a fair amount. But again, those dropped carbon stays feel really balanced and press very, very smooth. Considering there's a Ruby suspension fork up front, the whole bike just feels very on point, very predictable. Front to rear just feels super well sorted, and listening to the other guys on this trip, the rigid fork bikes sound like they're equally planted as well. And to go with those short stems, you've got a reasonable width bar with nice big 18-degree flare, so when you're getting on the tips, you get some proper leverage in there. Fair play to Lewis on front, he's on the rigid fork. I mean, somebody's already made the early 90s mountain bike comment. But you certainly didn't have disc brakes, and you didn't even have suspension this good back then. But yeah, the fancy hotel, the cracking location are on point for 90s mountain biking. And so just having a proper laugh on cool trails. Yay! Woo! Yeehaw! Yeah, la, 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 la. Hanging it out, motor style. There's not a lot of side knobbling on these Ramblers, so they drift really well. As you can see, yeah, baby! Golly! Oh, and then what's interesting, you completely forget you're actually on an e-bike because it's not interfering with the balance and poise at all, and then you just squeeze the cranks coming out of the corner, and boom, and off you go. Wait, you step that back end out at 425. Oh, you got me! You got me! Spain takes it! Rap, 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 rap! I've been Mark Marquez, although he only does the posters for their kids' bikes. But knee down, Spaniards are taking me on the corners in their home country. Oh, this is a riot! This is gravel biking done the Mondraker way, and I like it. And then, of course, as well as that, extended seat stay arrangement and the dropped conjunction with the main frame, gives a lot of structural compliance in the frame anyway. Of course, on the reverb you've got the function where you just drop it a couple of mil into the stroke. It acts as an air-sprung suspension seat post anyway, so you've got extra suspension on the back in that regard. Probably about 25 mil a stroke, but you definitely feel it, you know. So again, it's another thing that's keeping you planted in the saddle and giving this XR a really sure-footed ride. Put out! It's great. Proper little gravel rally bike this. That does not mind being sent or slid and generally just going around on. And that compliance helps you find traction on more technical climb sections as well. So, you know, Softail really does work. Now that's quite off-roading. And as well as being lighter, more powerful and tougher for more rugged use, this X20 also gets a Mondraker specific watts on demand tune. So all three power modes are also torque responsive, so the more effort you put in, the more power they'll give you back. So maximum output is actually available in all modes. It's just in the lower modes you have to work harder to get it to throw that into the ring with you, and it works really well. For most of the day, just been running it in the lowest setting on climbs, and it's still got plenty of kick and pick up when the trails get steeper or rougher and you need that extra drive, or just powering out of corners. It's a really good, usable, lively trail system. And then when you're freewheeling, no drag whatsoever. So while the people who've rinsed their batteries on the climbs are picking up the supplementary battery to plug into the frame, it just sits in a bottle cage. I'll take a shot of that later. Let's have a look through the details on this XR. This is a top model. XR is the kind of name that Mondraker use for all their bikes, which are a bit more sort of rally ready, so no surprise. On here you've got a RockShox Rudy front fork, with 40mm of travel. You've got 45mm Rambler tyres rather than 40mm. You've got a SRAM Force axis, and then we start getting to the Mahler equipment. So you've got this neat, completely wireless head unit, and then you can see you've got your supplementary power buttons there. You've got one up, one down, so it works really intuitively with the SRAM shifters. And of course you've then got the reverb axis gravel post at the back, so not only does that have a little bit of drop, as you can see, but it also works as a suspension seat post. And again, that's controlled wirelessly with a double tap of both shift levers at the front. You've got your on off button there, and that just shows you power mode. All your battery display and everything's up here, so I've still got 47%, I've got a range of 55. We'll be doing a lot of climbing today, but to be fair, I've done a couple of the major climbs with the motor off, because like I say, with standard force crank in there, it still pedals really well, and it's really light. I mean, it's a 1280 gram carbon frame still, so and that's light for a gravel bike. I mean, obviously you then put a you then put a 350 watt hour battery in it, and things get a lot chunkier, but even so, the actual heart of the bike is still a lightweight, high performance carbon bike. And there's just real nice touches there, like that super dropped seat stay with that real angle, reflex angle on it. That's where a lot of the compliance comes from at the back. And also, by extending the seat stays there, you're getting a longer effective seat stay. And I've got some close-up shots of that, which I'll overlay now. And just, you know, there's some really nice detailing in the carbon there. Obviously, this XR has got a mullet setup on the back, so you've got a bigger rear cassette. The other two bikes, the R and the RR, get Explorer, which is a 1044. This is the full 1052 on the back there. So full mountain bike gear range as well. Space for two large bottles on this medium frame. A neat little integrated seat collar there, but it's still, you know, it's still got a proper bolt clamping it together. It's not one of these real pain in the ass hidden wedge systems, which I'm getting more and more annoyed by. And then you've got mounts there for your fuel tank bag, and they actually do a range of specifically made Apidura bags. There's one that sits on the top tube there, and then one that sits in the frame gap there, just for this bike. And you can see it's just got that classic Mondraker super flat top tube. You know, if you knew your Mondraker mountain bikes, you'd look at this and go, yeah, that's definitely a Mondi gravel bike. And then if we come in close on the frame there, you can see you've got the charging hatch there, and you can also fit a double chainring if you want, because everything's sat in the hub. You can easily fit a double chainring up front if you want, you know, a Shimano based system. And that's the Marla X20 hub itself. So you can see smaller, lighter, straight pull spokes now. They're actually an aero bladed spoke, so really tight, strong, relatively lightweight wheel, considering it's got a hub motor in. And then to keep everything clean, the cables just go in under the stem there in that little sort of spout, and then down through that oversized headset and down into the frame. And it's actually fully plumbed internally, so there's tubes running down either side above the battery space to make fitting controls and cables relatively easy, although, you know, routing them through the headset will always cause certain. And then I've just grabbed the RR, which comes with this rigid fork with a really nice hidden axle on the end. Got bag mounts on there, and Pete's bike's also got that Apidura Mondraker bag in the frame, and the extra supplementary battery pack on there. You can see just plugs in down the bottom, so super neat setup. And this bike comes with rival axis, the wireless system, and a standard fixed post.
And even though it's not super flat, like you say, just really well balanced. And yet again, that 40mm Rudy fork really does give a surprising amount of control at speed, and it opens up a lot more aggressive, rougher lines. And because the back end's got that compliance in it, that's not getting kicked around either. So, wow, shit, traction is much better. If I hadn't just flatted, the only major issue with riding this bike hard is the rear tyre. Can't necessarily handle it. That's another blown rambler on the back, just on the side there. I've already blown mine, so yes, it is super capable gravel bike, but it's still a gravel bike, so it needs a bit of nursing. But otherwise, this thing, yeah, this is definitely one of the most capable and confident, but still fun gravel bikes I've ridden. And the fact that's still the case with a motor in it is really, really impressive. I mean, up till now, other gravel bikes I've ridden kind of feel like a mobility accessory, you know, the kind of bike you'd really only go for if you couldn't pedal a proper gravel bike. You know, just because the weightiness of them, clunkiness, lack of agility. But this Dusty, especially in this XR format, This is a proper play bike. This is a hoot to chuck around. An absolute blast of it today. I really have. She's Alina. You. Oh, makes such a difference having that. Oh, stepping out of the back. Drop her on there. You can get so much more rowdy around the turns on this bike. Just because the centre of gravity is so low. But that Drano has got a really drop top tube anyway. So it's a bike that naturally gets low and has fun normally, and then get that post in there and it's just proper trouble. And again, that balance from that rear end means it's always the back end it's just chattering out slightly when it does go, whereas if that was longer it'd be more likely to push its nose out, which would be a really scary situation. But I'm way off the front now, so I'm just gonna, oh, there's one more hairpin. I'll give myself one more hairpin, then even if I'm lost, I've had that. But this is such a belting bike to push hard. There's an ominous lack above the riders. Oh, here we go. It was the right way. Even better, going back up to see where everybody else has unlocked this nice little sketchy single track descent to get the Dusty down. Gracias. And of course, because you've got drop bars, it's a lot more aero and faster on the road as well. Plus you got more hand positions for going the distance. So you've got that versatility and velocity advantage of a drop bar setup. The only thing I would say is as it's torque responsive, it's not a massive difference in feel between the different modes, because if you dig hard it'll match you anyway, and 55 Newton meters, if you dig really hard you are going to top out the motor, so you won't feel its benefit. But it's kind of appropriate for gravel because you haven't got a huge amount of grip off-road anyway. So with more power you'd probably be spinning the wheel a lot. But with that power assist, it's impressive what this Dusty can get up really comfortably. And like I say, pulls from right through on the rev range, so it doesn't matter if you have to stall out for a takey section, you've still got plenty of assistance in there where you need it. Or if you relax off, certainly in the higher power modes, you've still got some healthy extra wattage to get you up. And you can fully adjust all the settings and get your ride data back through the Marla smartphone app as well.
This is without doubt the fanciest place I've ever done a sign off from. The infinity pool at Hotel Vivood, this landscape hotel. So massive thanks to Mondraker for flying me out here for the launch of this bike, and they've supported this video as well. Big thanks to PEs, to Crud, to Giro Cycling UK, who also support the video, and to Talk for my nutrition as well. But also, as always, massive thanks to my Patreon supporters who get early, exclusive and ad-free edits of these videos and more as a thank you for a small monthly pledge of support, and that makes a massive difference to the continuity of the channel. So if you like what I'm doing here in front of the GoPro, then please consider sponsoring me on Patreon. But for now, massive thanks to Mondraker, like I say, for having me out here. Massive thanks to you guys for watching. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe, click the notifications so you know when the next video comes up. Give this a thumbs up like if you've got this far, because that really helps with the YouTube rankings. And yeah, if you like the channel, tell your mates about it. We're still seeing a lot of new people in comments, and what I always say to them is spread the word, because it's your word of mouth that really matters when it comes to well, just making this channel something I can be proud of and something that keeps growing. But I'm waffling on as ever, so to end it all, I've been Guy Kestevan on Guy Kes TV, riding the brand new Mondraker Dusty XR in the mountains of Alicante.